So I wasn't sure if I was going to do a video today. I didn't think so, but I didn't do one yesterday because I actually got a lot done. So I was just doing stuff, and I did edit one video that I still had left from the day before. And so yesterday I took a day off video making, plus things have just been happening that I've been talking to people in real life and dealing with real life situations happening, and they still resonate with past stuff, but it feels like in moving through them better, some of those past things that maybe before lacked euphoric sensation are actually being integrated. And I don't know if that's true. It's just a sense I have. And with what happened the other day, telling someone to get the hell out felt good. And I feel strong in that. And I just sang a little song, and I don't know if I'll add it in. I'll see what happens in editing. Do you eat, sleep, do you breathe me anymore? Do you sleep, do you count sheep anymore? Do you sleep anymore? Do you take flight on my tongue like lead? Do you fall gracefully into bed anymore? I saw you as you walked across my room. You looked out the window, you looked at the moon. And you sat on the corner of my bed. And you smoked with a ghost in the back of my head. No, I don't know, and I don't care if I ever will see you again. No, I don't know, and I don't care if I ever will be there. Oh, oh. Anymore. Under the table I kick you back. I can't say I'm able to stand for you or fall for you ever again. I wish for a perfect setting, wishing that I am letting you take me where you want me all over again. But you can give yourself absolutely to someone else, because I actually feel like maybe the next month before I go home, I could spend a little bit more time just singing and getting some of these other faculties that could be possible or potentials within me at least moving. Not that any of them are it or what I want to explore next, I don't know. So it's kind of a process of exploring what do I want to explore next. And I think I talked about that a little bit in my last videos, feeling like different things are possible now, being off meds and being in this state of exploring possibility and feeling like life is moving along as it should be. Like my brain is in alignment with reality, and my brain is not moving out of alignment with reality to attempt to bring me into alignment with reality. So instead of going about life and having stuff come up in my consciousness that scares me, there might be something that's slightly scary in daily life, but I'm actually able to face it and move through it. And then that sort of resolves things that might want to come up in my consciousness again if I didn't handle the situation the way that my nervous system really wants me to. And it feels like now, being off the medications and feeling stronger, I'm ready to do that instead of moving in a life that I don't really want, being on medications, etc. And just being on medications, even if I'm living the life I want, it's not the life I want. For me, being on meds is sort of the linchpin. I don't know if that's the right term, but it doesn't matter what I do within that life, it doesn't feel right to me. And I'm not saying it's that way for everybody. a lot of people wouldn't want to do without it, but I really do. And I feel like now that I don't have it in my system, I'm able to deal with life, because the meds block what is really happening and what happened, and it's hard to integrate what happened with what's happening when it's sort of been mediated and modulated by these medications. So I feel like there's an integration happening somehow, and I don't know if it's true. And I remember inviting the magic and inviting possibilities and things, and I think it was yesterday that all this rap lyrics came through me, and they were sort of angry at the system rap lyrics. And so I wrote them all down, or most of them, and then they just kept going, and I stopped writing them down because up with this multidimensional intelligence brain state, this dialogical brain, this awakening, this totally different dimension in the human brain, which we don't know what it is. It could just be an exploration of what we're capable of as artists of ourselves. So I was saying those things about being an artist of myself, and how I felt like I was going to write lyrics for Lauryn Hill. And then I did all this lyric writing for myself. And I thought it would be kind of funny to just actually write some lyrics for Lauryn Hill at some point. Just be like, hey, I did write some lyrics for Lauryn Hill. Not that she'll ever perform them or anything. I don't know if she's still doing that. But it seemed a little funny to actually move towards some of the things I was feeling that I could possibly do, and just do them and be like, hey, I did it. So it's not really that unrealistic if one is able to harvest, practice, embody. And so now that the self-dialogue is more like a self-embodiment, or what I realized is self-creation, and I've probably made a lot of notes and extrapolations about this, but I'll get to it in time. Right now for me, it seems that actually exploring capacities of the body is a little bit more important. Like singing, sharing some of these rap lyrics, they're kind of funny and they're a little bit angry. And that was the thing. I was seeing that if I was to decide that I want to be this female white rapper, not that I do, but that this is sort of being expressed through me as this art or something. If the only thing that manifests through that is lyrics and lines angry at the system and what I went through, then I don't really want to do that, right? So I could use energy to be a really strong advocate, but I don't know if I want to do that. So if I create rap lines, and I can't rap, but there's lines there, then, and it's just mad at the system, maybe I just don't want to go there. But if it can actually move to a place where it's something positive, then maybe I do want to go there. So I wrote a couple positive things today, because I was thinking about that festival that I'm supposed to perform in August, and I was thinking, well, I could do a new thing, because I'm not really interested in doing stand-up comedy about my mental illness, but I could do a little rap or some kind of poetry about the experiences I've been through more recently and stuff. So I don't know what that looks like, but I wrote, I was going to perform comedy about bipolar disorder until I realized it's a life of a different order, an order on the outside, but I can bring the inside out. It took a lot of dialogue, but now I have no doubt. What is the outside? Can we bring the inside out? Why are we outside with a heart full of doubt? My heart wants to shout with proper nutrition. Our dreams can come to fruition. Hey, fellow outsiders, we have the inside scoop. People are living life in a chicken coop. So it's kind of lame and silly, but it's kind of fun at the same time. So part of this actually, and I've talked about this as fun and laughter and getting that back. So can I just turn some of this exploration with myself, now that I'm not wanting to talk about things in the mental health system, can I just channel that energy that was being used to explore that into exploring kind of this rap poetry thing, or something else, or singing, or whatever. So that's what I'm wondering about, and it seems like when I wonder about something, then afterwards that potential moves through me and sort of shows me what's possible and if that's something I want to explore. So if I say, bring the magic, bring in that rap. I was thinking about writing lyrics for Lauryn Hill when I was in my first magic state 6 years ago. And then the next day I'm just writing things and I can't even stop. So then the point is too, though, is to stop it if it's not going along a line that one wants, because I was noticing that I had this energy to write things down, like write the lyrics down in my phone. I was like, da 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 da. But then I actually noticed that I missed out on interaction with people once or twice. I was in a rush and I was sort of like, oh, hey ho, and it just went by. And then I realized, wow, this is sort of what can happen for us is we get so immersed in creativity that we forget about the day-to-day and people. And so if we don't meet life and meet people and meet what's there as well, then we can actually get lost in our own creation and get way far ahead of ourselves and then start thinking we've done more than we have. I don't know if that's true, but I just sort of saw that. So maybe part of this actually will be in exploring some of those creative elements, seeing these, I don't know if they're mechanisms, but ways that creativity works and how it can almost take us over to the point where we neglect our body, we neglect other people, and we almost move into a world by ourselves. And it reminds me of what somebody says in her TED Talk, that Emily Levine, she says, the thing about going into beauty is it's a finished thing, and something about we have to still be able to meet people. So if we go too far into our own beauty and what we're able to bring out from inside ourselves, it's difficult to meet people. So it's important to keep meeting people too. And these things might actually become more obvious over time. Like if my brain works like this, whatever this is, and other people's do too. Maybe one day we'll actually just know, oh, person there, talk to them, and not get lost in the creativity and neglect meeting people. Because if we have that energy of creativity, we can write lyrics, or we can write poems, or we can make music, or we can paint or draw. But we can also be creative in our relationships with people. So if we go into our creativity and I'm writing my words and stuff, and then I get so into it that if somebody interrupts me, I get mad. Like, get out of here. What are you here for? I'm doing my creative thing. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. Then we've missed the point a little bit, because we can make the creative energy relational just in day-to-day regular interactions. Make those relationships and interactions creative. And the energy just might make it creative if we learn that creativity as well as creating things like poems and books and whatever. So that's something I saw. I don't know if it's true. It seemed true at the moment. And so there's the thing about, do I like how this creativity moves in this particular medium of creativity? So even the self-dialogue with myself over the last year has been creative, and it's been a creative exploration of things related to mental health and lots of different things, but usually referring back to that. So now that I'm not diverting that energy to referring back to that, the energy is just going into creation. And if at any point during the self-dialogue I would have been like, I don't like expressing in this way, because when I do, it seems like what I talk about is something that I don't want to talk about. So what is a different way? But that didn't really happen. And it kind of happened now at the 1 year mark. I'm like, I don't want to talk about that anymore. So if I was still making videos and I realized, wow, I'm still always talking about mental health if I make videos, so I want to stop, then maybe I would stop. But now it seems to be exploring this creativity that I've been in contact with before, and I haven't much been in contact with it since. And a lot of that energy, when it comes in, is actually used to try to fix the past stuff. But maybe if the brain realizes it can deal with the present, and anything that arises in the present as the past, then maybe it can just go into creativity and not have to worry about using that energy to try and fix things in the psyche. So I'm wondering about that. I don't know. And so, yeah, I forget what I was saying, but there's just different factors there. And so some of the things that I wrote about rap, I wrote a lot, well, quite a bit. And I was being kind of silly, and I said, going from creating a rap plan for mental illness, WRAP, Wellness Recovery Action Plan, to creating a plan to rap, which is just the art of rapping. And I can't actually imagine myself rapping. Maybe that's possible. But I can imagine myself maybe sharing some of this, and people who share this consciousness can rap it out, because maybe they have similar experiences and they would probably sound a lot better doing it. So maybe from what I've talked to myself about, I can create some rap lyrics and then share it with people to actually rap it out, or maybe that would inspire them to create some of their own lyrics. As if people need more inspiration who go into these states of consciousness. They don't. I'm not trying to say, oh, I need to give this to someone because they're not creative. That's not true. I think this would be more about just creating some lines based on everything I've created for myself, because not everyone is going to want to watch hundreds of hours of me talking to myself, but maybe if they hear some lines, they might want to hear it, or they'll just understand it. Or it's not understanding it, it's understanding that we understand each other, or that we want to understand each other, or we see something similar. So there's lots to it. And again, this is from my Mania Harvest originally. This is from the original blueprint, the original download. I saw I had this capacity. So as soon as I invited it back in, it just was there. And part of what the meds do, I feel, is just block that invitation to have that flow through, which can be helpful for a period of time. But so it's going from create a rap to creator rap. And I think these are the types of shifts in perspective and shifts in the wording that we've been hypnotized with that could be helpful in a way. Most rap, and I'm not really a fan of rap, I don't really listen to rap. I did in high school somewhat, but most rap is about our pleasures and our desires and getting what we want, and it just reinforces this whole culture that we have about that life is about things and getting what you want, and you know, all that other stuff. And I felt like perhaps there could be a different genre for whoever, maybe people who are labeled or want to go beyond the label, who want to move into being a creator. And I don't know why this word creator is resonating with me so much right now, but it is. And I feel in a way like creation is the opposite of mental illness. And at one point I was talking about the opposites of mental illness, like nature and whatever. But I think creation is one, because when we first go into that map consciousness state, we become very creative. So if we can actually learn to create and be a creator and learn what we're here to create, then that state might actually have no purpose anymore, because it's sort of pushing us to live out our creation or be haunted by the past. So I don't know, there's a lot to that, and I probably made a lot of notes about it, so I'll go into it later. So the point about that was, it's like a genre for not necessarily talking about pleasure and desire, but acknowledging our power to create something. And what I've been noticing lately too is that I feel like when a state becomes a stage, when it's actually embodied in the neurology, then we no longer have experiences in our psychology, but in actuality. And then we're able to meet that. And then if we actually do this, we don't need the state in order to create. So often when we go into the state of mania, we feel really creative. But if we're able to get with that creativity in a state of not being in that high energy, it will get embedded in our nervous system. So then we're able to create, and we don't need that state to create. So we might have that state, but we have more nervous system tissue to actually support the creative state and how we move and how we see and how we can create with our bodies and bring the inside out. So I'm not quite sure if we no longer need the state, so we don't get that state in order to create because we can create without it, or the state is there but we don't notice because we have so much more neurons and things to actually support that energy, so it doesn't feel like this big difference from how we always are. Is maybe a minor difference, and so maybe the swings even out because we actually have the nervous system stuff to move through it. So if I keep having a high state and a low state and I just freeze, then I don't know if there's any learning there besides just getting through it. And it's important to do that if one needs to. But if after freezing and it sort of goes away, if we can actually move in that way that state informed us, when it comes back again, we're not going to feel it as much, or we're going to be able to move through it better, or we're going to be able to create what we're wanting to create, but it sort of got scary and too much energy. And I've talked about some of this along the way, and I'm just feeling like it actually could be true through my daily experience, even though it's pretty new in terms of moving into that gesturetically and not just talking about it and wondering about it, but actually, since I've talked about it and wondered about it, I'm able to see it when it happens. So yeah, and I'm going to share a little bit of my silly lines, and again, they're a little bit on the angry side, so I don't think I really want to go there unless I sort of create that for something specific, and then something more positive comes out, because I don't want to just keep doing the same thing just in different mediums like poetry or rap, I don't know, or a song. But I guess if in every medium I explore, then that is what comes through, then maybe I'm supposed to be an advocate or advocate in these creative ways, because we haven't, not that we haven't, but there could be more creative ways to advocate, showing our potentials, not just saying don't stigmatize me, or I don't have a mental illness, or I have a mental illness, don't stigmatize me, but be creative with it and then make people think and second guess, not just with words, but how we're able to use words. And so many of us get in contact with creative use of words. So there's creative use of words for like beauty and art, but then there's maybe an art to advocacy in using some of those words to advocate, and then some to move into beauty, and maybe there's a dialogue that can happen there. I don't know. I really don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just talking, and I have this gray hair that broke, and now it's scraggly, but I kind of like it. It's like my little scraggly gray hair.